Discover the incredible true story of a millionaire CEO who found inspiration in a single mother. Mike Turner stood in his sleek office, gazing out over Silicon Valley. The sprawling view of glass and steel was a testament to his success, a self-made millionaire in his late 30s. Numbers, profits, and tech trends were his lifeblood. Yet, beneath the polished exterior, a sense of emptiness wrapped around him like a heavy cloak. He thrived in conferences and board meetings, but the cries and struggles of the community below went unheard. Just a few miles away, Lisa was fighting her own battles. A single mother, she worked several low-paying jobs just to keep the lights on in her cramped apartment. Her days were a blur of fast food shifts and late-night cleaning jobs, punctuated by the laughter of her 2 children. They were her world. Her son had just won a local coding competition, and for Lisa, this was a spark of hope amidst the darkness of their poverty. One evening, Lisa walked her children to the community center, a place buzzing with creativity and dreams. As they entered, she felt a warmth wrap around her, a sanctuary where their voices mattered. That night, when Mike arrived to mentor the budding coder, it felt like worlds colliding. The sterile walls of the tech empire met the vibrant pulse of community hope. "Nice work, kid." Mike beamed at Lisa's son, who glowed under the praise. He saw the spirit in the room, alive with determination and grit. It was contagious. Mike tried to understand, peeling back the layers of a life he'd only brushed against from the comfort of his high-rise. It was foreign yet enchanting. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As the week went on, those vibrant scenes were constantly on his mind. Mike learned alongside Lisa's son, seeing the world through the eyes of a kid who had hope in his heart. Lisa, with her fierce resilience, began to chip away at Mike's heart, softening the sharp edges of his ambition. She shared stories of hardship but also mirrored dreams. She wanted so much more for her children. But just as Mike felt the threads of connection weaving tight, a media scandal erupted, shaking his empire. The weight of a potential collapse loomed large, casting dark shadows over the friendship he had begun to cherish. The stark contrast of his world versus Lisa's seeped into his thoughts. Could he stand with her and the community he had begun to love, or would he prioritize the empire he'd built, a decision now dangling precariously over him? As the community rallied together to save their beloved center from potential closure, the air thickened with tension. Friends were forged across socio-economic barriers, united by a common goal. And there stood Mike, at the crossroads of a decision that would redefine success itself. The echoes of his past whispered doubts while the vibrant reality of hope pressed him forward. Would he embrace the true meaning of success, or retreat to the safety of his towering glass walls? The answer hung tantalizingly in the air, waiting for him to take the plunge. As dawn broke over Silicon Valley, the golden light slipped into Mike's office through the floor-to-ceiling windows, washing the space in warmth. But he felt none of it. Instead, a chill settled in the pit of his stomach. He poured himself a cup of stale coffee, staring blankly at the portfolio in his hands. Reports of plummeting stocks, shifted headlines, and angry investors loomed over him like a storm cloud. "Mike!" His assistant called, breaking his reverie. "You need to address the board in 20 minutes. They're not happy." "Right," he muttered, sidestepping the mounting dread that clawed at him. His mind raced back to the community center, the laughter, the shared dreams, and Lisa's fiery spirit. Those moments seemed far more important than any financial bottom line. The boardroom was filled with tension as soon as he walked in. Stoic faces awaited his report, dissatisfaction pulsing like a heartbeat through the air. Mike cleared his throat, trying to focus. But outside, he could almost hear the rallying cries of the community, the very people whose lives were intertwined with his nascent sense of purpose. "Mr. Turner, we're losing confidence," one of the board members said sharply. "What's the plan?" Mike paused. The words waited on the tip of his tongue, but he had never felt so torn. All at once, the voices of the board and the memories of Lisa and her children mingled into an audible clamor in his mind. He needed to be honest. "I think we need to rethink our approach to profit. Our image matters." Their eyes narrowed, surprise flickering across their faces. Mike felt the room's energy shift. "What if we align our efforts with the community? Invest in outreach initiatives. Help those who are struggling." Silence enveloped the room. Then a scoff came from the back. "You think that'll solve anything? Non-profits are a drain on resources." "It's not just about the bottom line," Mike countered, his voice rising confrontationally. "What if we can create a future where success isn't just measured in dollars? What if it's in lives changed?" Discontent brewed among the board members, a mix of disbelief and frustration, but for Mike, there was no turning back. He felt alive, fueled by the fire that Lisa had ignited within him. The conversation shifted, tensions rising, but he pushed forward, his heart racing. Emily, one of the younger board members, finally spoke up. "If you believe in this so strongly, maybe we should explore it." "But, Mike, it's risky." He looked around the room, seeing faces blurred by doubt. Yet all he could picture was Lisa, her strength, her hope. "If we don't take risks for people who need it, then what's the point of all this?" he asked, his voice steadying. The board remained silent, deep in thought. Mike felt a rush of despair but also a flicker of hope. Perhaps this plunge into uncertainty could be his redemption. Maybe he could build something that mattered beyond the glass towers of their empire. Later that day, when he returned to the community center, the atmosphere was buzzing with energy. Children tinkered among computers, laughter echoed in hallways, and Lisa stood next to a cluster of kids, her smile radiant. Seeing her reminded him of the conversation with the board and all he had to fight for. "Hey!" Lisa waved him over, her kids nudging each other, whispering excitedly. He approached, feeling lighter, knowing that this was where he belonged. "Did you talk to your board?" she asked. "Yeah," he replied, heart thumping. "It didn't go as planned, but I'm willing to fight for this." Her smile brightened, but the shadows of concern flickered across her face. "Just be careful, Mike. Not everyone sees the world the way you do." No, they didn't. But maybe he could help them change. As they exchanged a lingering look, understanding deepened between them, the weight of the choices ahead heavy yet beautiful. And just then, in that moment of connection, a thought ghastly yet profound crossed his mind: how far would he go to protect what he was beginning to love? In that blend of fear and hope, a fresh question loomed: what if he had to risk everything for the very community that was starting to feel like family? With determination lighting the path, Mike stepped into the growing darkness of uncertainty, knowing the hardest battles were still ahead. But deep down, he felt a flicker of courage ignite. Would it be enough to face the incoming storm? The next few days felt like a whirlwind for Mike. The board's skepticism gnawed at him, but every evening he returned to the community center, and each visit filled him with renewed strength. Children welcomed him with grins and clumsy high-fives. Lisa always encouraged him, her unwavering spirit acting as a lighthouse in his tumultuous sea of thoughts. One afternoon, while helping a group of kids learn coding, Mike noticed a familiar face watching from the back of the room. It was Thomas, an investor he'd known for years, a man whose eyes sparkled with the kind of money that often bought influence and reputation. Mike's heart raced. Would he recognize the community center as a promising venture or dismiss it as a reckless idea? "Mike," Thomas called, stepping forward, his tone deceptively friendly. "Been hearing about the big changes you're proposing. Seems a bit ambitious." "Ambitious is good, isn't it?" Mike replied, trying to sound confident. "It's about making a difference." Thomas chuckled, an unsettling sound. Making a difference doesn't pay the bills, my friend. Still, if you're convinced, I'd love to hear your plan. I may have some resources that could help or hinder. Help or hinder? Mike echoed, narrowing his eyes. Why the duality? You either believe in it or you don't. Ah, but belief is always tied to profit. Thomas glanced around the room, evaluating the children's spark of curiosity. I wonder how far you're willing to go for this. Are you sure you're ready to risk everything on a dream? At that moment, he felt defensive, but more so, determined. This is about more than money. It's about lives, futures. These kids deserve a fair shot. Cute. Thomas smirked. But cute won't feed their families. Can you deliver a real plan that has numbers to back it up? Investors want data, not just passion. Determined to show Thomas that there was value in human connection, Mike replied, if I can bring something back that resonates with them, we can make an impact. I need you to help, but I won't dilute this vision. For the first time, he felt a surge of clarity. He envisioned how he could intertwine their tech vision with the very real needs of the community and leverage that as a new narrative for the board. Maybe this challenge was not merely about convincing one investor but shifting an entire mindset. As the days turned into weeks, Mike dedicated himself to the project. He spent nights collaborating with Lisa and the kids, working on a proposal that highlighted the community's potential. His passion ignited others. Emily, who had shown support during the board meeting, reached out, wanting to learn more. When can I stop by? She asked, leading to more sampling of ideas and possibilities. But then, trouble surged. The financial situation worsened, the media began questioning the company's direction, and rumors whispered through the industry like a chill wind. Each day, the board was growing more impatient, and time was slipping through Mike's fingers. One evening, feeling overwhelmed, he stood at the community center's entrance, watching kids play soccer under fading sunlight. Lisa joined him, her expression softening the weight he carried. You seem far away, she said, concern stitching the corners of her mouth. What's on your mind? Everything, Mike sighed, the heaviness of pressure and uncertainty evident in his voice. I'm scared I might lose everything, Lisa. This isn't just a job anymore. It's become personal. Her hand brushed against his arm, grounding him. You're a good man, Mike. Whatever happens, you're already making an impact. Don't forget that. He looked into her eyes, realizing just how much her belief in him meant. They stood there in silence, the laughter of children filling the air, a melody of hope. Out of nowhere, a thought struck him. If the stakes were this high, could he rally the community to rise up with him? What if he started, his voice trembling with excitement, what if we turned this into something bigger? A movement? As Lisa stepped back, her brow furrowing in surprise, Mike saw the realization set in for both of them. It wouldn't just be about saving a company anymore, it could transform into a fight for something greater, a coalition of courage that would challenge everything he once knew. But a question lingered in the space between them, charged with anticipation: would they be brave enough to go all in? The following morning, the sun streamed through the community center's windows, casting warm patterns on the worn floor. Mike was already there, fueled by a restless energy. He pulled out a large piece of poster board and gathered supplies, markers, scissors, and a stack of colorful papers. Lisa walked in, her usual bright smile greeting him, and he gestured for her to come closer. Check this out, he said, excitement bubbling in his voice. I want to create a vision board. Something that shows not just what we hope to do, but what we can actually achieve together. Lisa's eyes lit up, understanding immediately. Let us include everyone. The kids can help find images that represent their dreams. It'll be a way for them to envision their future and also get their parents involved. As they began to lay ideas out, Mike felt something shift within him. It was tangible, like a fuse that ignited. This wasn't just about numbers or business proposals anymore. This was about shared dreams, real connections. The thought that these children might envision their aspirations alongside him pumped new life into his every word. By the end of the day, the center was buzzing with excitement. Kids swarmed around the table, pasting pictures and scribbling out aspirations. "I want to be an astronaut," shouted one boy, holding up a magazine clipping of a rocket. "I want to own a bakery," giggled a girl, displaying a snippet of a delicious cake. These varied dreams sang a chorus of hope in Mike's heart. He shared a confident glance with Lisa, who nodded back, her eyes brimming with encouragement. They were on to something powerful. This was going to be more than a plan, it was going to be a promise. But shadows lurked. As the whirlwind of creativity continued at the center, the board meeting was looming on Tuesday. Their impatience was palpable, and Mike could hardly shake the sensation that failure was looming just outside the door. He didn't have long to solidify their movement into a reality. The next day, he decided to reach out to Emily, knowing she had connections that could help amplify their message. They met at a local cafe, and he laid out the idea of the children's vision board, their dreams interwoven with technology. "Imagine if we could turn this into a campaign: social media blasts, a community event where families come together. It's more than tech, it's about uplifting lives." Emily was intrigued, her eyebrows raised in surprise. "This could be big, but you need more than dreams. You'll need metrics, statistics. Show how investing in community projects can lead to real profit." Mike's shoulders slumped for a moment. "I know that. I've got to show that people matter, that community matters." But he realized he didn't have a solid strategy. How could he accompany heartfelt storytelling with the cold hard data the board craved? On the ride home, his mind raced. How to harness both passion and practicality? In his gut, he knew the answer lay in the community, perhaps even the very dreams they had been collecting. If they could measure impact through the children's visions and how many families they reached, maybe they could show the board it was about more than just dollars, it was about lives changed. That evening, he gathered the kids to share all that they had created, revealing the vision board decorated with dreams. But Mike had a secret mission. "Can you all help me show how these dreams can grow? If you want to be an astronaut, what steps do we need to reach that? Can we put those steps on our board?" Kids buzzed with ideas, energized by the thought of turning their wishes into actions. Yet as laughter echoed through the center, doubt nagged at Mike. Could something this heartfelt challenge the cold reality of corporate expectations? As night fell, he peered out the window, watching as the last rays of sunlight faded. A familiar uncertainty enveloped him. "Is this enough?" he whispered to himself, feeling the weight of the world in his chest. Suddenly, the clarity hit him. If the kids could break down their dreams into real steps, then he could do the same with his own plan for the board. But would they believe in the power of these small, yet mighty steps? As he returned to his desk, inspiration coursing through him, the next question surfaced. What if he invited the board to witness this energy firsthand? With hope sparking in his heart, he flipped open his laptop. It was time for a bold move that could change everything. What would happen if he opened the doors of the community center to the board? Would they see the potential glowing through those children's eyes? The moment of truth was approaching, and Mike knew he had to take the leap. Would the board stand with him, or turn away? The next morning broke with a sense of urgency swirling through the community center. Mike arrived early, his heart racing with anticipation. He barely slept, caught between dreams filled with children's laughter and stark visions of a boardroom filled with uninterested faces. The smell of fresh coffee drifted through the air as he mentally rehearsed his pitch for the board. Lisa was already there, working on the vision board, now a vibrant collage of dreams and ambitions. The kids had been busy the night before, each one bringing more energy and creativity than Mike could have imagined. Glitter and glue adorned the tables, and the children's handprints left colorful trails everywhere, remnants of hope that somehow began to ease Mike's fears. "Good morning." Lisa beamed, waving her hand across the colorful chaos. "Check out the astronaut corner. It's huge now." She pointed to a cluster of drawings depicting spaceships and planets, reinforcing the boy's dream that echoed through Mike's thoughts. "It's amazing, isn't it?" he replied, stepping closer, feeling the warmth of passion radiating from the board. Mike couldn't help but smile as he envisioned the sea of dreams merging into a calling for change. As the day wore on, excitement bubbled over as children arrived, bright-eyed and eager to contribute. Mike felt a sense of hope reignite within him. These kids were pinning their aspirations on this board, and he needed to do the same for himself. "All right, everyone," he called, gathering them around. "We're going to do something special tomorrow. We're inviting the board members to come see our vision board, this beautiful showcase of all the amazing dreams you have." The room fell silent. The children exchanged glances filled with uncertainty. Mike could almost hear their hearts beat erratically. Will they care? He sensed in their eyes, reflecting what he felt too. But wait, he added, raising his hand to quell their worries. "We'll show them that every dream has steps to make it real. You're all going to help me tell the story. We'll make sure they understand." Loud cheers erupted from the children. Their faces lit up with determination. They began brainstorming steps together, jotting down notes of what astronauts needed to learn, what ingredients were essential for a bakery, and even the teamwork required for an athlete. Mike's heart swelled. Moments turned to hours, and Mike felt the clock ticking. That evening, he reached out to Emily again. "I need your help. The board's coming tomorrow, and I want to show them the impact this community has on these kids. Can we create a presentation that captures this energy and transformation?" Emily sat thoughtful, tapping her fingers on the table. "I can help with that, but it needs to be powerful. It's not enough for them to just hear it. They must feel it. Focus on stories, real stories, with real impact." As they mapped out a plan, Mike felt invigorated. Together, they could structure the kids' narratives with practical steps, infused with that raw emotion. Would it be enough? By the time he headed home, everything clicked into place. Hope dripped from every line of his notes, seeping into the core of his vision. He pictured the board members stepping into that vibrant chaos, seeing the kids' faces, feeling their energy. He was ready. But, as he settled down for the night, a nagging thought surfaced. What if they still don't see it? The fear crept back in softly like a shadow, but he pushed it away. Tomorrow would be their moment. It would either shatter expectations or reaffirm them. As Mike lay awake, his heart beat steadily, full of hope tinged with anxiety. Would the board truly open their hearts and minds, embracing the power of community? Just then, a text pinged on his phone. It was from Lisa. "Are we ready for tomorrow? The kids believe in this. I think we can do it." He smiled, feeling that infectious energy swell within him. "Yes, we can." He typed back, though he wasn't sure whose belief would carry them through, his or those dreamers. Somewhere, deep down, he knew this was just the beginning of a journey he never expected to take. How far could they go, and what would the board see when they arrived? As sleep finally took over, a singular question haunted his dreams: would they be able to see the incredible hope shining in the children's eyes? The sun rose gently over the community center, casting a hopeful glow on the vibrant vision board that now adorned the wall. Mike arrived early, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Today was the day everything changed. He could feel it. He stepped into the room, greeted by the excited chatter of children already assembled, buzzing like bees around the colorful masterpiece. Each child's face held a mix of pride and determination. They were ready. They understood, they were part of something larger. "Look at this!" shouted Jason, a boy with messy hair and a bright smile, pointing to a new addition on the board, a drawing of a rocket ship painted in vibrant red. "I can be an astronaut. I can go to space." "Yes, you can," Mike affirmed, his smile wide as he felt every ounce of that childlike optimism fuse with his own. "And today, we're going to show everyone how to make dreams come true." Just as he was about to rally them for a quick run-through of their presentation, the doors swung open, and in walked the board members, looking both curious and skeptical. Their polished shoes clicked against the tiled floor, a stark contrast to the scattered glitter and glue now covering the room. "Welcome," Mike called out, the tremor of excitement and maybe a little fear mixing in his voice. "We've been working hard to put something special together for you." The children began to fidget, some whispering anxiously to one another. Mike noticed Lisa, standing slightly apart, her hands clasped tightly together. He met her gaze and nodded, sending her a silent message of reassurance. "Before we get into the presentations," Emily chimed in, stepping forward confidently, "we'd like to share a few stories that explain why this vision board means so much to us." The room went silent. The board members exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Mike's heart raced. Could this emotional journey connect them, melt the reservations away? One by one, the children began to speak. Maya, with her big brown eyes, stepped up first. She recounted how she wanted to become a teacher because she loved helping her friends learn. "I want to make school fun, just like we do here," she said, her voice quaking slightly but full of hope. Next was Jason, the astronaut dreamer. "I want to be the first kid from our town to go to space. I'll show everyone that dreams can take you anywhere," he declared, pointing towards the stars as if he were already soaring through them. As each child's story unfolded, Mike could feel tension in the room begin to dissipate. Their innocence and passion filled the space with a kind of magic, raw and infectious. The board members leaned in closer, their eyes wide with interest. It was working. Then came the moment Mike knew he had to seize. Taking a deep breath, he stepped to the front, gathering the children around him. "These dreams, they're not just paper. They represent real potential that deserves support. We have a chance to invest in the future of these kids and the community they represent." In that moment, Mike caught sight of the board members' faces softening. He had their attention, their curiosity piqued. A shift began. Amy, a board member whose arms crossed tightly at the beginning, uncrossed them slightly as she listened. Mike pressed on. "Each story you've heard today is just a glimpse into what this community can achieve if we come together. These kids are the future, but they need guidance and the opportunity to dream bigger." The air crackled with tension. Would they understand, truly get it? As he finished, he felt the warmth of a little hand clasping his. It was Lisa, looking up at him with wide hopeful eyes filled with unspoken trust. He glanced back at their audience, now captivated by the tiny figures before them, the stories echoing in the silence. Would they open their hearts? Would they see the potential? Just then, one of the board members, a serious-looking man with glasses, cleared his throat, drawing everyone's attention. "So how do we begin?" A wave of hope surged through Mike, but would it last long enough to carry them through? He realized as he stood there that perhaps what they needed most wasn't just the board's approval but a genuine belief in their dreams. Would that belief ignite a change not just in the kids, but in the community and the board? As smiles began to break through on both sides, Mike felt his heart racing again with anticipation, whispering, "This is just the start." The energy in the room felt electric, as if each heart was beating in sync with a shared dream. The board members began exchanging murmurs among themselves, their skepticism melting away under the warmth of the children's stories. Mike's pulse quickened even more. This was the moment he had envisioned, a bridge between them all. "Let us outline some possibilities," Amy, the once skeptical board member, said. Mike noticed a flicker of excitement in her eyes. "What kind of support do you think you need?" Michael could sense the moment was fragile. He turned back to the children. "This is our time to dream big. What do you need to take those first steps?" He felt their energy shift, a powerful wave of ideas filling the air. With renewed courage, Maya raised her hand. If we could have a summer program where we can explore science like mini experiments and launches. We could even build a real rocket. Her words sparked a cascade of enthusiasm. Jason jumped in. And art classes. We could paint the universe. How about field trips? To real science centers. One by one, the children erupted with their ideas, each suggestion more whimsical than the last. They didn't just want to dream, they wanted to create. It was magical. The board members exchanged glances that now reflected hope rather than doubt. Mike felt a swell of pride. These are incredible ideas. Imagine how we could cultivate curiosity and creativity in these kids. We could give them the tools to shape their futures. You're right, remarked the serious man with glasses, now pen poised over his notepad. These initiatives could be transformative. But how do you plan to implement them? That question hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Mike had anticipated it, but the truth was he didn't have all the answers yet. He looked down at the gleaming faces of the children, inspired and expectant. Maya, Jason, you guys are bursting with potential. But we need to outline a plan, a real framework to present. The sincerity in his voice resonated through the room. What if we form teams? You all could lead sections for various activities. The children's faces lit up with excitement as they nodded vigorously. Lisa, whose hands had relaxed slightly, spoke up, I can help with the art part. We can make guides for the projects. The serious man smiled for the first time. It seems we have a lot to work with here. The transformation was palpable. Just then, Emily leaned in closer to Mike, her eyes wide with inspiration. I think we should host a community meeting. Get everyone involved. We can gather support, resources, and ideas from the entire neighborhood. The idea resonated, and soon discussions sparked about organizing events, science fairs, art exhibitions, all centered around their collective vision. Ideas flowed like a brook, bubbling over with possibilities. This wasn't just about their own dreams anymore, it was about partnering with their entire community to create a brighter future. As the buzz in the room grew, a realization washed over Mike. The board members were no longer just outsiders, they were becoming part of this united dream. But just then, a shadow crossed Amy's face. What if the funding isn't there? What if we face setbacks? A silence enveloped the room. Mike's heart sank, conflict was creeping back in. It was a cold reminder that dreams often come with challenges. We'll find a way. We have to. Jason said, clenching his tiny fist, determination shining in his eyes. We've already started. Mike felt a swell of collective courage rising. Exactly. The only way to fail is to stop trying. Let's take small steps today, and we'll turn this into something extraordinary. As the children gathered around him, Mike realized they had already sparked a transformation not just within the room but across their whole community, even if it was just the beginning. He turned once more to the board, their fascination now palpable. Let's dream together, and make this vision a reality. The atmosphere felt charged, the air thick with possibility. Yet as they stood on the brink of something monumental, one question loomed large: what obstacles awaited them just beyond the horizon? The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Everyone was caught in a web of anticipation, wondering how to turn dreams into action. Mike felt the thrill of the moment, but his mind reeled with uncertainty. What do we need to do next? He thought, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. Amy straightened in her chair, breaking the spell of silence. If we're going to do this, we need a solid plan, she said, her voice steady. I might have some ideas about reaching out to local businesses for partnerships. The children leaned in. Their curiosity was palpable, each hopeful gaze fixed on the board members as if waiting for a magic wand to wave over them. Lisa bounced in her seat. What if we create a video to share our vision? Show the community what we want to do. Yes. Maya chimed in, her enthusiasm contagious. We could film our projects in action. Everyone would want to help if they saw how cool it is. The board members nodded, their faces brightening with each passing suggestion. Mike's heart soared. He knew they could move mountains together if they stayed united. "You kids have a real spark," the serious man with glasses said, "and I'll help you shape that video idea into something professional." It was a breakthrough. This wasn't just a wild plan anymore. They had a tangible task ahead of them. "We can also set up a crowdfunding page," Jason suggested. "If everyone in the community contributes a little, we can make a lot happen." Emily, eyes sparkling, jumped in. "And we can host an event. A fun fair, games, art, science. We could charge a small entry fee and use that for our programs." The ideas collided, mixing and swirling, forging a whirlwind of energy that filled the room. Everyone could feel it, this was just the beginning. Yet, as hopeful voices mingled, Mike felt a pinch of doubt. What if the community didn't want to help? What if they couldn't reach their goals? But he couldn't let that fear take root. Every big endeavor starts with a single step, he reminded himself. "Amy, how do we approach local companies?" he asked, shifting the focus back to her. She considered for a moment, then replied thoughtfully. "We could create a pitch that showcases the benefits for them: exposure, community impact. Maybe even partnerships that showcase their brands." "Exactly," Mike said, excitement surging. "This is about more than just funding, it's about creating legacy connections. We're inviting them to be a part of something special. This is a unique opportunity for everyone involved." The board members murmured agreement again, their previous skepticism fading like morning fog. Each new idea built on the last, until the collective energy in the room felt almost palpable, shimmering like a promise yet to be fulfilled. But just then, a soft voice broke through the chatter. "What if no one shows up to our event?" It was Lisa, looking down at her hands, her earlier excitement dimmed. "What if it all just falls apart?" That question hung heavy in the air, the perceived possibility of failure creeping back in like an unwelcome shadow. Everyone fell silent. Mike felt the weight of their uncertainty press against him. How could he reassure them? "We have each other," he said firmly. "And together, we can take on anything. Remember, every success story has its setbacks. What matters is that we keep pushing through." The tension in the room lifted slightly as nods of understanding circulated. They shared a collective resolve, spirits reigniting like a phoenix rising from ash. Just then, Amy leaned forward, her expression transformed. "How about we hold a brainstorming session this weekend? Get everyone involved and let their voices be heard. That way, we can all contribute to the plan." "Perfect!" Mike exclaimed, feeling the thrill of possibility surge once more. As plans solidified and ideas began to take shape, Mike realized they were not just dreaming, their vision was becoming a reality. But with excitement coursing through him, another thought tugged at his mind. Could they really bring the community together to support their dreams? What if there were people who truly didn't believe in their cause? What potential challenges would test their resolve as they stepped forward? And here they stood, on the brink of something incredible, but would their courage be enough to overcome the hurdles ahead? The weekend arrived, and the air crackled with a mix of nervous energy and anticipation. The community center buzzed with people, families, friends, and neighbors, all drawn together by a collective dream. Tables were set up in a lively cluster, each creating a little fortress of creativity. As they gathered, a sense of purpose enveloped them, igniting a spark that felt unstoppable. Mike took a deep breath as he scanned the room. Every chair was filled, and every face reflected excitement. Children were bouncing around, their laughter breaking through the intensity, while adults exchanged quick glances that spoke volumes. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice echoing in the warm room. "We're here because we believe in something bigger than ourselves. Today, we brainstorm ideas to bring our vision to life, and it starts with each of you." A collective cheer erupted, sending a wave of enthusiasm washing over him. The kids raised their hands, waving like they were in a lively classroom, eager to share their thoughts. Emily jumped to her feet, her face glowing. What if we create a mural that represents all our projects? It will be like a giant billboard for our mission. Jason nodded vigorously. And maybe we could get local artists involved. Imagine how cool it would be to collaborate with them. As ideas flowed freely, Maya stood, her eyes sparkling with creativity. What if we organize a talent show during the fair? Everyone can showcase their skills. We'll have fun, raise money, and highlight the talent in our community. The room erupted again, voices overlapping in joyous agreement. Each suggestion echoed with affirmation, and Mike couldn't help but feel a wave of gratitude wash over him. Some were sharing their talents, others their enthusiasm, and together they formed a tapestry of effort woven into a dream. But as the voices mingled, a sense of uncertainty returned to Mike's heart. How could they ensure everyone would want to participate? Would self-doubt creep in when the time came? Overwhelmed, he glanced at Amy, who sat focused, jotting notes and ideas with relentless energy. "Let us think about how we can invite even more people to join in," she proposed, interrupting his spiraling thoughts. "What if we created a community newsletter or social media campaign? We could share our ideas and progress with updates, photos, and personal stories." The assembly buzzed at her suggestion. "That's a great idea," Lisa echoed. "People love stories. They'll want to join us if they feel a personal connection." Meanwhile, some parents in the back started to murmur. "What if we can't reach our fundraising goal? What then?" One of them voiced, bringing a cloud of doubt. Mike felt the familiar weight of worry. Every goal worth chasing is filled with uncertainty. "But what matters is that we are striving together," he stated. "We're all in this for the same reasons, and that shared goal can move mountains." With resolve, he turned back to the group, locking eyes with each person in the room. "Believe me when I say, if we face challenges, we will overcome together." And the energy right now? It's unstoppable. The crowd responded with their voices lifting again, a chorus of strength and unity rallying the spirit of the moment. As the brainstorming session flowed into a spirited exchange, an unmistakable promise formed in the air, a promise that they could truly rally the community. Yet, a nagging question remained at the edge of Mike's thoughts. Would their efforts be enough to spark belief in others? What if the challenges they faced were greater than their enthusiasm? Though their ideas seemed boundless, the unseen barriers loomed silently. And amidst the laughter and brainstorming, the question lingered on their minds. What could really test their unity? What would happen when the first wave of adversity hit? The day of the community fair arrived, and the excitement pulsated through the air like electricity. Colorful banners flapped in the gentle breeze, while the scent of freshly popped popcorn wafted through the crowds. Families trickled in, laughter mingling with the sounds of kids zipping around, their voices echoing the joy that filled the space. Mike stood at the entrance, a vibrant smile plastered on his face, soaking in the energy surrounding him. He felt the weight of anticipation resting heavily on his shoulders, as every part of him longed for validation. He glanced over at Lisa, who was bustling around, ensuring everything was in place. There was a fierceness in her focus that made him proud. "Here we go!" Jason shouted, running by with a face painted like a superhero, his boundless energy infectious. The enthusiasm of the kids spread like wildfire, igniting hope in every onlooker. As the fair kicked off, booths filled with colorful crafts, cupcakes, and enthusiastic talent performances dotting the lively space drew massive crowds. Families from all walks of life engaged and enjoyed the festivities, knitting a sense of community that started to feel like something undeniably beautiful. But as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm golden glow, an unexpected gust of wind blew through the fair announcing an impending storm. Mike felt a flicker of anxiety as clouds rolled in. The hope he carried suddenly weighed heavier as thoughts of failure crept in, threatening to overshadow the day's vibrant energy. Just then, he overheard a group of parents gathered near the fundraising table. What if there aren't enough donations to keep the center open? It's risky, one woman whispered, her eyebrows knitting together in concern. His stomach dropped. That gloomy reality whispered doubt into the vibrant atmosphere. An avalanche of disappointment threatened to crash down on their dreams. Mike turned to Lisa, who stood beside him. Her expression of cautious determination reflected the gravity of the moment. I can't let this happen, he said, more to himself than anyone else. We need to turn this around. With unwavering resolve, Mike rallied the kids. Hey, everyone! He called out, his voice slicing through the noise. Let us show everybody what we can do. The children gathered, eyes wide, their faces full of anticipation. What do you all think we should do next? He asked. They exchanged eager glances, their excitement revitalizing with every heartbeat. Let us put on a show. Maya suggested, bouncing on her toes. Let us show everyone what we can do together. Mike's heart surged with hope. Yes. Talents, performances, your artwork. Let us gather the crowds and let them see what this community is all about. In no time, the talent show was organized. Performers spun, danced, and sang, each act better than the last. The voices surged through the fair, imbued with the spirit of determination and fun. As parents began showcasing their talents alongside the kids, an overwhelming sense of connection blossomed among the onlookers. But then came the rain-heavy, unpredictable drops slashing across their mindset. The storm clouds rolled in, drenching the fair in distressing gray, while anxious murmurs spread like wildfire through the crowd. Chairs and tables began to shake as people rushed for cover. Stay together. Mike yelled, his heart racing. We can do this. He turned to the kids, their faces painted with uncertainty. This is our community. We won't let a little rain stop us. As the skies rumbled, Mike stepped up to a microphone. Ladies and gentlemen. I know this rain feels like a setback. But it's not over. We will make this a moment that the community will always remember. Surprisingly, the kids caught on to his energy. Let us keep singing. Jason shouted, taking the lead on a popular song that filled the air with laughter amid the chaos. Standing firm in the storm's shadows, the audience began to clap along, cheering on the kids as if their music alone had the power to ward off the rain. One by one, performers took center stage, their joyful volatility lifting spirits as the heavy clouds slowly began to drift. As Mike took in the marvel of resilience growing before him, a small spark ignited deep within him, a realization that they had fostered something remarkable. By the time the last notes rang out, the skies began to clear. The sun broke through, casting radiant beams of light across the community center. Their smiles illuminated like stars against the backdrop of hope. As the crowd cheered, Mike caught sight of familiar faces among them, board members embracing the atmosphere, their expressions no longer skeptical, but rather radiant with joy. Look, people are donating. Lisa cried, pointing towards the fundraising table. A line already formed, eager to give in support, driven by the spirit they had all fostered together. With tears prickling at the corners of his eyes, Mike felt his heart swell. They had made it. They had risen to the challenge, transformed by the struggle and storms faced together. And as the sun set over the horizon, painting everything in hues of gold, he realized that success wasn't just about numbers or revenue. It was about caring for each other and fighting for dreams, lifting one another when storms came, not falling apart. As laughter echoed through the revitalized fair, a blend of fears morphed into laughter, connection, and inspiration. Mike looked at Lisa, her eyes bright and full of promise. We did this together. He exclaimed. Yes, we did. She smiled, and in that moment, the roots of something bigger, the heart of a real community, took hold. That evening, as they stood at the community center one last time, united in transformation, Mike felt a whisper from within the depths of his heart. This was only the beginning. They had ignited a spirit of change that could continue to grow, one dream at a time. Now, let's carry this new chapter forward. If you felt inspired by this story, you need to subscribe now to our channel. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like to fuel this journey and help the algorithm soar. And don't wait not even one more second, share this transformation with at least 5 friends who need to see this message. Join the movement and let's change lives together.